We're going to be hearing from Ellen Renton as a feature set, and then we're going to be having a selection of open micers. We've actually had a wonderful heroic lady step in where there was an empty spot, so we're so grateful, which is what we're changing right now on the PowerPoint slide. But just ignore it. We're about to do some more amazing poetry, so if I could get you guys to give a warm round of applause to get us back into the second half and to welcome Ellen Renton to the stage. Thank you.
Sorry, that was really loud.
This is called Cities. Around here, it's always been a choice of two, green or blue, yes or no, vinegar or sauce, Edinburgh or Glasgow, so that every forward foot you forge is someone else's loss. But early on I knew I was a girl who wanted both, cheeks puffed with indecision in factor 50 and the winter coat. I wanted 2 scoops, please, one of each. A hand to fight in either cause, scalding heat and curling toes and humble words with worldly reach. It began in the east. Summers spent chumming my mum somewhere over the slip of cobbles, losing my grip and finding my feet. Dad would dust off the worn white of the bike seat and I'd wobble through Sunday, slice the cycle path left to right, and every weekday in its wake would wear a sea breeze. New Haven knotted itself in my hair and the heart exhaled in shrinking light. I caught history on my tongue like falling flakes. I saw it shift shape in frozen moments, digging for spare change, praying for the brown hope of the bus. I jumped every day at one, forgetting myself as the gun charged over town. See, when we're young, the universe loses 6 letters. It's just us. I climbed Playfair steps, took every day I found, put it all in a sandstone chest, hid it in the swirling view that's yours from the top of the mound, and I started moving west. Back bent beneath bags and feet feeling for grooves in unfamiliar ground. A second home was fashioned, with poetry for its roof. Walls bricked with quick coffees, broad gardens, tall truths, and every day the sounds of that city shake it from its roots. The snap of shutters as streets open up, the stamped demands of one more tune from King Tut's and now us, looks a lot bigger to me. Somehow I know where it is I'm meant to be, even if I have lost sight of which way is home again. I can belong to Glasgow with my heart in Midlothian, and I'll have 2 scoops, please, one of each. I'll find sugar and solace in the taste of either end of the M8, but the sweetest place will always be the lick that marks where the 2 ends meet. So as that poem kind of implies, I lived in Scotland my whole life until about a year ago, a year and a bit now, and I moved down to Norwich in East Anglia to study. And as any of you will know who've ever moved about, regardless of that distance, it makes you realise a lot of things, perhaps that you weren't expecting. So I'm going to read a few poems about that. This first one is called To Do, and it was about something that started to bother me about where I was living. And then whenever I was frustrated or upset about being away from home, I took it all out on this one thing and loved it. The water from these taps leaves the mugs scummed, till their insides look like my ankles when 2 tight socks run rings around them. I phoned home and was told salt works on the mugs and oil on the skin, and both are on my to-do list. The water tastes exactly how it shouldn't. It could keep me thirsty after full cheek gulps, jaggy in the throat as the day before a cold comes. Diluting juice is on my shopping list. Squash, even. If I keep drinking, soon my mouth might look like the mugs do. Maybe the circles have already started in a weak tea red round the back of my gums. The dentist said flossing is essential given my family history, so I need to do the post-its by the sink are long past passive, stop blocking it. Clean your mess, don't leave food. 3 noodles worm in the plug hole, and I hope the culprit got a kick from ignoring all the capitals. And I hope that when I next taste the water I used to drink, it will be as much of a mirror as I remember. It won't have its toes on that line between copper and blood. It will do what it promises. That wasn't like sort of demanding it. That was like a cue to clap. So another thing that I was thinking about a lot when I wasn't in Scotland was patriotism. For a while I became this sort of weird parody where I was like cooking everyone haggis and talking about Braveheart and all this, and I began to question that, and I was thinking, when does patriotism, is it a good thing at all, and if so, when does it become a bad thing? So I started to write a lot of poems about that, and the way I did that was thinking about a time when I feel very patriotic, and for me that's watching Andy Murray, so I wrote a lot of poems about Andy Murray. And perhaps unexpectedly to me, I suppose, initially, all these poems about patriotism, a lot of them ended up being about gender, because the two things are so intrinsically linked. This one is called Of One's Fathers, which is a phrase taken from the etymology of the word patriotism. And it's about Andy Murray. All the poems start Andy Murray is. But it's really about when someone who's not a man enters a male space. Andy Murray is Judy Murray's son. Uncanny, the clench they have in common. The oblong that their mouths make out of pain or panic. The unsanded edge of their guttural fuck. Judy played too, but wasn't good enough to be remembered. She would not have sworn in a tennis skirt. No room for that. She is hard to recognise. Parts of her don't look like a mother. That family does not hug enough to be normal. Her cheeks are angles that should have softened by now. No one says like mother, like son. But their faces are too close together, according to the viewers at home, who have never seen the back of a woman's throat. A body like hers, locked with passion, limbs straight as a flag. And this one is taken from the same series. I started to think a lot about national stereotypes or cultural stereotypes, and how there's quite a clear Scottish male stereotype in a lot of films and TV. So I started to try and think about if there were any others, and the one thing that kept cropping up was this stereotype associated with Scottish women. It's called Murray to serve. Andy Murray is starring in a new costume drama as a cook, a nursery maid, a governess, a woman who might have been beautiful. Hair scraped back with such practical haste it gives height to her eyes, impossible to pin an age on. But she has known the man of the house since he was a wee laddie and still looks younger than him. Were Murray a man, he would steal nips of whiskey after he'd snuffed the candles, sneak cut knuckles into footmen's gloves, but she deals in sugary contraband on nights of bed before supper. Looks so pale against the navy, feisty. Softens for the favourites she shouldn't have, puts half her energy into scolding the rest. Might get a love interest in the second series, but she's too independent. couldn't leave the master's children, has a music to her walk, has an accent like an accident.
So this one I'm going to read now.
Is based on the song Coulter's Candy, or Ali Valley Bee, some of you might know it, and it involves a tiny bit of singing, and I'm so sorry. I don't know why I keep doing it. So this song was sung to me a lot when I was wee, but I didn't really know a lot about the origins of it. Some of you might know this, but it was a jingle of sorts, an early kind of ad jingle, I suppose, for a sweet seller in the Borders. And when I thought about these two men writing this song together, it's quite creepy, because they're kind of telling women, this is, or parents, this is how to raise your child. My product will help you with that, which I suppose is the basis of a lot of advertising now, as we know it. So I took the lyrics of that song and I broke them up and used them as kind of prompts to make me think about different women in my life who are reclaiming or doing things differently. Ali Bali, Ali Bali Bee, sitting on your mommy's knee. Mum. Home is the sky unsnicked and spitting teeth, but behind the bolted front door, so I can keep my fingers dry as they race the day's droolings down the glass. It's not the same sofa that held our shared weight, but sometimes the bounce she once drilled into sleepy knees sneaks into my step. I've heard the song play out from other mouths and wanted it back, like the child who first heard it, but hadn't learned to share yet. Greeting for a wee Bobby, to buy some Coulter's candy. Ruby. On the news they say we don't watch the news. Too lock screen stuck to look up. I look up numbers to spine our debates. Well, she makes tomorrow's scrubs creaseless and packs a lunch that won't be eaten. Next week will be our 7th time voting, both 21. Both feel none of our crossed boxes have brought better, both hopeful though. Her thoughts are wasps between work and proxy or postal, and mine are coloured as red as her namesake with stories from the war. Not enough beds, and not enough blood, and not enough. Poor wee Jeannie's getting off within a Rick bones covered o'er with skin. Elena. Her eyebrows meet in the middle above the hob. She misses the smells that lived in her clothes back home. This country is crisp linen at its best, and this kitchen is its worst. She rolls her eyes over my porridge to find nothing she knows in its topish heap. Is that savoury or sweet? How could words tell her it's neither and both? It's good for you, it'll keep you warm. She'll try it another day, she says, as she holds a laugh at my priorities in her throat. Now she's getting a wee double chin, with sucking Coulter's candy. Granny. I don't remember the occasion, or even if there was one, but in making room for the fajita treat, my stomach fought the cotton of my t-shirt. We parked the car halfway so we could walk the rest and let our foot go down. Granny planned these things. I thought the world rolled around in her handbag. I was sure I'd seen it leant against a packet of Murray mints from which I was told what I was due. Our plan hit stage 2 when dusk slapped the first or fourth as if she told it to. I need to get a wee drink after that. This is called The Cycle. Once a month my stomach bloats, and on the least likely day I play pregnant, wear something shapeless over the bump. When we realised what our bodies were capable of, someone said no one knew her mum was pregnant from behind. Wouldn't that be ideal? I drank coffee in a place where I used to live, and every child that screamed was called Ethan. I had never noticed that all who unravel under their coats bargain with a boy of the same name. There are so many people on TV who let each other down, and I wonder how babies keep on being made. Why isn't everyone scared to love something that much? This next one is called All the Choirs. It's kind of about realisation that good and bad, the binary of good and bad, does not exist. And when I made that realisation, I realised that actually pretty much all binaries don't exist. But that tends to be the one that people realise first. And it's about how the fact that we teach that binary, in turn, that becomes really gendered and it affects how we see the world. And in my case, sort of made me unaware of what different people were capable of, because you thought they were good people and bad people. And it's also about angels. I don't know, a lot of you probably had this before, but I had that thing a while ago when I was writing this, that angels just kept coming up. Like every time I read a book, watched a film, every conversation I had, every sort of memory that came back to me. So I turned all of that into this poem. As the nurse washed the blood out, she said, "Angel hair, so you have angel hair." Anna sang Panis Angelicus at the school mass, and we knew she was brilliant, but couldn't cry like the parents. The ones that never get to breathe are called angel babies, and maybe that's because their lungs won't carry the dirt that ours do. At the first nativity, 10 of us girls were given tinsel proof. My brother had a cycling cap signed by his favourite. After the EPO, it was still there, but less looked at. In the Angel Gabriel song, we would change the words to most highly flavoured lady. I imagined that Mary's flavour was salt and vinegar, because she was always wearing blue. Someone asked the journalist how we could start fixing things, and he said, "We really must stop believing in angels." The first time I played a baddie in the church panto, I wished the booing audience would consider my nuance. We studied empire like it was a half-remembered gap year, and wars like we were prefects rounding up bullies at break time. I can't picture an angel afraid to try. When we heard the news, we thought we might know the girl, and never thought we might know the boy accused. So this might seem like a real change of tack and tone, but I promise it all comes back to make sense. Are there any contact lens wearers in the audience? Okay, big first. This is for you, and it's called Contact. Drawn folds show blotched on, yawn. Roll on robes of smoke, thoughts fog-soaked, wrong. Hold on. Crawl to O's of hope to compose. No more, don't drop. Those globes won't thaw what floats throat-locked, all floor torn. Oh, not on nose, own goal. Slow, not sore, not launch nor thrown. Soft. Go on. Left, done. One down, one to go. Please lend me the world whole, not kept under dust for someone else. Ugh, nearly. Too early for body to work yet. Each bone sleep poached. Forget the rush. Don't leap nor rub, just gentle touch. Yes, contact. Each time I'm almost surprised by what the morning looks like, but not quite. Today it woke me speechless, but now I've got my tongue back. So I have something, but they don't correct my vision. I have a condition called albinism, which results in quite a severe visual impairment. So I'm going to read a couple of poems about that. And this first one is called Ask a Stupid Question, which is probably quite a self-explanatory title. It's about one of the stupid questions I was asked when I was applying to renew my disability concession bus pass. So, is your condition still lifelong? Still, as in the coke-shaken flat space between my size and his phone voice. Every morning that isn't split by my shoes. A second-hand steering wheel that skips me in the line of succession. A first-timer's photo that let too much light in, still as a bruise. As when a migraine forces eyes to close like a repossession. Decembered fingers that can't classify coins by their edges and never heard help. The countdown from anaesthetic. Still as the time spent waiting to be let down again. The death of some of yourself when a car gets too close. A knackered body asleep as soon as the sheets meet its back, still, well, when you put it like that. And yeah, so one of the things about having a disability is a lot of people are very curious, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's very important that people are curious, otherwise we'd never learn anything. But I think there are polite ways to be curious, and a lot of people aren't quite there yet. So this poem I wrote after I was contacted by someone who worked for a television programme, and they were wanted to see if I'd be interested in being involved in some way in their new series. I wasn't really interested, and I didn't reply to their message, but I wrote them this as a way of response. Deepest thanks for deeming me undateable. It's good to know where I stand. When you thought, how could we sexualise, fetishise, infantilise and patronise all in just 60 minutes? My life seemed like a soft place to land. It's good to know your Johnson's baby smooth hand gets to choose the faces that have fallen out of fashion. To sew an odd sock from my innards and pair me up with someone else who is torn at the toes. It's good to know once done you will sleep smug, snuggled under duvet knowing you've done your job. That you think the biggest struggle for those who don't fit the norms that the able-bodied chose is we can't get a date. Not that most aren't getting paid, can't go for a wee on a train, or are sick of hearing sorry that appointment's got a 3-month wait. It's good to know you think mine could be the face that launched 1,000 Twitter debates. that the home of the Paralympics is trying to claw some dignity back. And that works on some days. But you won't celebrate my skin unless it is scarved in a Union Jack, body bundled in front page glory as a fish supper. It's good to know if I don't fit in one box, you can shove me in the other. You will brand me an over or underachiever. Hand me a voice thick with life's knocks and a bottle of sunblock bought as a prop. Demand I rise to the top or crawl through my years. So you can clap through your tears if I manage either. It's good to know you got a nod from the BAFTAs, that you think you're doing a good thing by redefining the rules of love. And as proof, you can show me scripts you've written to so many happily ever afters. It's good to know you'd like to lend a hand so that mine might be held. And that you took one look and decided I looked like I needed your help. Thank you. Anyone else to say? I'm going to do one more poem. Before that, I'd just like to say thank you all so much for listening. That's like a really long time. I don't even listen to myself for half an hour, I switch off, so I get really nice. And thank you so much to Jenny and everyone at Zero Tolerance. A few of us were saying this is like definitely the most organised poetry stuff that you've ever been on. This is, okay, I'm going to do one poem, which is quite a short one to finish with. It's about friendship, and it's about a street very close by to where I grew up, called Westmost Close. We blew the name of the street through our teeth. Westmost discovered it's hard to get your lips around the last bit unless you let go of the T's and string everything else into one like Westmost Close. We agreed. It was a funny name, but couldn't decide why. Maybe because it moved through the mouth like the gulls that hooked our heads, soon to come scudding down for crumbs. Maybe because somewhere on our descent to daft, we renamed it Kanye Westmost Close. The sides of my speech turned liquid at the thought of him, kicking over the harbour wall to see how clear it was across the Fife. A box fresh left easy, now puddle drunk. Or maybe it was knowing that this was once the edge of things, before they built the gym and the Asda and the affordable flats, the most west Leith could stretch. Thank you for listening.